SQL Server Reporting Services contains a number of features to help format your reports. You can format individual report items, as well as the rows and columns of a report, using a variety of mechanisms, which include the report formatting and report border toolbars, the properties window, and the text box properties dialog box. So let's explore each of these options. The report formatting and report borders toolbars represent a quick and easy way to adjust some of the more common formatting properties of text boxes. So I'm going to select a text box right there. It happens to contain static text, but same thing's going to apply to any expressions or field text boxes. And so here we have the report formatting toolbar. Now this is a little bit hard to see, so I'm going to drag this down into a new row within Visual Studio. So there you can see from left to right I can adjust the font name, font size, bold it, italicize it, underline it. I can change the foreground color. I can change the background color, the text alignment, make it add numbering and bullets, and then outdent or decrease the indent and indent the text. All right, then here's the report borders. I'll drag that down too, just make it a little bit easier to see. As you can see, I can select the type of border that I want around the box, the width of it, and then the color of it. And then I can also use this icon here in order to adjust where I want that border. Just on the outside, no border, top border, and so forth. Okay, so as you see, I have customer name highlighted or selected, and bold is selected. If I want to unbold it, just click on the button. Just like virtually every Windows word processor on the planet. So it's very simple to use. So one change that I can make here is I'll select this text box there. Okay. And then for a border, I want a solid border. It currently has no border set, but I want it to be a bottom border there. And I'll preview the report now. And as you can see, it now has this border along the bottom of the text box. And I might need to play a little bit with the width there. But actually, if I got rid of these lines here, that might actually be a pretty good width for it. Now, it's important to keep in mind that the toolbar buttons only serve as shortcuts to formatting the report items with the Properties window. If you want to, you can also adjust these same properties using the Properties window. So it's all there. Again, the Properties window is always the all-encompassing source for formatting items within a report. And so, if you're not sure where else to look for a particular property, you can be sure to find the property in the Properties window. So I have a text box selected here. I can come over to Properties, see that it's text box 2. I didn't change the name. I'm not referring to it in code, so there's no need to change it. And this has all of the properties for that text box. So just keep in mind that the toolbars are just a subset of the available properties. They're probably the ones that you're going to change most often, but this is the comprehensive set of properties. Now, a few things about the Properties window. It's normally organized categorically with related properties grouped together. But you can also change that to an alphabetical order. So I often find I kind of know all of the properties that are available for different items. I very frequently find that it's easier to use this alphabetical list because I can go directly to the color property rather than having to find this within the font category. But do whatever works best for you. All right, but if you are looking at them categorically, there are some properties that are nested within others. So, for example, here is the font section here, and you can't see a whole lot of different options, but it's because a lot of them are hidden there within this font property of the font category. And this displays all of the properties that are set within this particular font property. Okay, and if you're ever in the Properties window and want to go to the text box Properties dialog box, you can just click on that icon right there, and that'll open that up for that text box 2, which happens to be the text box within the header there. Okay, now there are a couple properties that I want to make special mention of. One is the name property right here. This is the name of the text box. By default, Reporting Services assigns a sequential name, text box 1, text box 2, text box 3, for unbound text boxes. So I created this text box by dragging it from the toolbox. I created this text box here by selecting the field I can select it there and come back over here. You can see the name. I didn't type in this name for the text box. Because I dragged the phone field onto this table, Reporting Services automatically gave it the same name as the field that I dragged there. All right, so going back up to this text box, if I ever need to reference this text box say in an expression, using that report items collection, then you really should give your text box a descriptive name, such as maybe header text box here, I would call it, or total sales, or something that I'm calculating. Okay, and then the other one is the value property, which as you can see is not visible here. But if I go back over here to the text box properties dialog box, you can see that it's right there. So this is a value of the text box. So I typed in text here. So this is static text. That's the value of the text box. If I go back over to my text box here and go into the text box properties, I can see that the value is phone. And if I look at the expression, it's actually the equal fields bang phone value. Okay, so again, the report designer automatically set that because I dragged the phone from report data and dragged it onto the table. Okay, so lots of options there. Properties window works like, if you're familiar with Visual Studio, it works like every other properties window for all designers in Visual Studio. So you can do things like directly type the value into the cell of a properties window. So if I want to change the list level from 0 to something else, I can just type it in. A lot of items have selections, so list style, none numbered bulleted. Notice that I can't use an expression for that particular property. There's color properties and pop-ups and various things. It gives you a lot of help in setting the values for different kinds of properties. Okay, and then just to be very plain and very clear, the last option is the text box properties dialog box. So this hosts a subset of the properties for a text box, but it provides a richer facility for setting those properties. It has 9 tabs altogether, but I just want to point out a couple of them in particular. So the general page here lets you adjust the text box name, value, and tooltip properties, as well as a few other things. You can allow the height to increase, allow the height to decrease, based on the value of the text box. And by the way, the tooltip, that, just like other tooltips, that's what is displayed when the user hovers over a text box when the report is displayed within a web browser. Okay? It has no PDF function in a PDF or just a lot of the other renderers. And then as usual, you can set a lot of properties using the expressions button there. All right, then the number page here gives you a lot of options for formatting the content. So the default, no formatting is applied. There's a variety of number formats, so you can use regional formatting that will automatically pick up from the version of Windows. You can set the number of decimal places, use 1,000 separators, and so forth. Various options there. Here's for currency, similar to number, but you can specify different symbols and so forth. Put the symbol after the value. Date, different formats, time, percentages, scientific, and custom formats. So the custom format lets you enter a custom .NET formatting expression. But just keep in mind here that just select the default category here to remove any formatting that you've previously applied. All right, then there's various settings for alignment and fonts and borders and field, visibility, interactive sorting, and action, and so forth. Okay, so a lot of options for text boxes. Feel free to explore them. Just keep in mind that even though there's a lot of properties here, the properties window is the be-all and end-all of properties for a text box. Okay, in addition to being able to format text boxes, you can also format the rows and columns within a tablix. So I'll select that there, so that's the tablix. In this case, it happens to be a table. To select a row within the tablix, click on the row selector here. So that selects the header row, that selects the details row. And keep in mind that you can have multiple rows within a tablix. All right, so I'll come over to properties here, and because I have a row selected, this now displays all the properties that are appropriate for a row. Oddly enough, it doesn't show anything here, which is a little bit strange. And if I select, this is different objects within the tablix. but it doesn't show row here. So just kind of a weirdness within the properties window. Okay, then similarly, you can click on the column header there, and then these are all the properties for a column. And then there are also various toolbars that you can use in order to format all of the text boxes, all of the items within this column, because it's what's selected. So anything I change here in the toolbars is going to affect everything within that column. And when you apply formatting to a row or column, for example, to the font, bold, or text align properties, then Reporting Services copies the format to the individual text boxes of that row or column. And remember that a large majority of properties for most objects in a report, including the report itself, can have an expression assigned to set their value dynamically when you execute the report. This provides a form of conditional formatting that can really make your reports come alive for users.